Hey guys, today's video is a wrap up of all of the books that I have read in the month of August. Ashley and Danielle have already told you what they've read, and here's everything that I read. I'm going to start the month off with a section that I'm calling the Cottage Reads. This is every book that I finished when I was at the cottage for approximately 2 weeks with my dad, aunt, and uncle. I probably could have gotten more read, however, I had way too much fun doing other cottagey things during this time, so I only managed to get around 10 or so books done at the cottage. I know. Shame on me, I could have gotten more. The first book that I finished this month was The Last Necromancer by C.J. Archer. This book is book 1 of the Ministry of Curiosity series. It follows Charlie Holloway as she finds herself arrested one too many times with only a dead man as her escape plan. It's been 5 years since Charlie last raised a spirit, and it once again brings trouble on herself. When Lincoln Fitzroy, the leader of a secret organization on the trail of a madman who needs a necromancer to control his newly made creatures, when Lincoln captures Charlie, things get even more hectic for her. I read this as an audiobook August 1st and 2nd. It was a reread for me. I am slowly going through all of the C.J. Archer books, either ones that I have already read or ones that I haven't read yet. This is the 3rd series by her that I've recently read. However, it is the first book by C.J. Archer that I ever read. I came across this book when I was in the height of my steampunk reading era, and it really hit home really nicely. I find C.J. Archer's writing both whimsical and grounded in reality. I enjoy the characters. I find them to be very diverse. The story is engaging. The world building is fantastic. I'm slowly working my way through all of her series, and spending time with Charlie, Lincoln, and the gang is absolutely a great way to do it. I ended up giving The Last Necromancer by C.J. Archer 4.5 stars. An absolutely amazing reread, and I will certainly be continuing on with the series past where I've read it so far. The second book that I finished this month was Alpha's One Night Stand by Ariel Renner. I read this July 27th to August 4th. This story follows Yara as she enrolls in a secret school for shifters. She doesn't believe in fated mates, but she might have just found her own. Faced with magic for the first time, Yara must come to terms with the fact that the world is not what she expected it to be. This is supposedly the 3rd book in the Shifters of Clarion series, but it doesn't feel like a series to me. Instead, it feels like a collection of werewolf books with a magical base, or Clarion as like the tying force. I don't understand where the School for Supernaturals or Werewolves comes into play in the series as it's been introduced so far. This is the first one that doesn't take place in Clarion. It takes place in the outer world, and it would have made a little bit more sense if the first 2 books talked about shifters living outside of the magical world, and they really hadn't. So that was a weird twist for me. I ended up giving this 3.25 stars because I did enjoy the story. I just give it 3.25 thinking about it as a standalone and not as part of a series. The 3rd book that I finished in the month of August was Alpha's Hated Mate by Ariel Renner. I read both this one and the second one as Kindle Unlimited ebooks. I read this one August 4th to 5th. This follows the events of Alpha's One Night Stand and follows cursed Scarlet Wolf Saffron as she comes face to face with a man that boils her blood in all ways good and bad. Unfortunately, his people truly believe that the Scarlets are cursed. When someone goes after the Scarlet Wolves on campus, Saffron has to find out who they are before they get hurt. I definitely enjoyed this book more than I thought I would based on the trajectory that the stories have taken up to this point. I can see the connection to book 3 of the series and can kind of pretend that the other 2 are a different series but related through Clarion. I'll probably continue on with the series, but it might be a little while before I do. They're very easy reads. They're very quick, but it's kind of undefined. Like the world building itself seems to change from book to book based on whatever helps move the plot forward. So because of that, I'll probably have a little break between this book and the next one. The next book that I finished in the month of August is Scythe and Sparrow by Brynne Weaver. This I read August 5th to 6th. It is the 3rd book in the Ruinous Love trilogy by Brynne Weaver, one of Danielle's favorite series of all time, and I have read the series because of Danielle. It follows circus performer Rose Evans and Dr. Finn Kane as unlikely circumstances bring them into an unlikely cohabitation situation. Finn is nursing his broken heart in small-town Nebraska when Rose comes crashing into his life, almost literally. I adore the story. I found it fun and dark, twisted and sweet. Basically, every contradiction you can think of this book contains. It follows a Kane brother as he realizes that sometimes it's okay to let the darkness and the light in. And a bad bee in Rose as she realizes she doesn't always have to be alone, that sometimes you'll find the people that matter in life. Danielle was right. She was right. These are great books. I am absolutely enjoying them. She has told me that I now have to read the short story that follows this book, and there might be more content coming out about this series, so stay tuned for that. I ended up giving Scythe and Sparrow 4.5 stars because it really was a great read, but not my favorite in the series. That goes to Leather and Lark. The next book that I finished this month was The Stand-In by Lily Chu. I read this August 7th to 8th. My aunt actually introduced me to this book last year at the cottage because she was reading it as a library book. So I purchased it this year with the plans of bringing it to the cottage. And it was hard to wait, but I'm so glad I did. I loved getting to read it with my aunt right there so I could talk to her about it as soon as I read the parts that I wanted to talk to her about. And she was absolutely right. I enjoyed the heck out of this story. It follows Gracie Reed as her world seems to crumble around her. She's lost her job, her mother's dementia is slowly taking over, and her love life is non-existent. When she is mistaken for celebrity Wei Fangli, Gracie's life has the ability to change forever. Wei Fangli proposes that Gracie pretend to be her so Fangli can have a well-deserved break. But will Gracie be able to help Fangli without losing herself? I enjoyed the characters and their flaws, seeing them realize who they are as people and what truly matters to them. Hands down, a book that's easy to fly through, and I enjoyed every moment that I was reading it. I gave The Stand-In by Lily Chu 4.5 stars, and it really was an amazing book. The next book that I finished at the cottage was TU at the Altar by Rebecca Thorne. This is a book 3 in the Tomes and Tea series. I read it June 24th to August 8th. And yes, you have heard me talk about this book many a time on this channel. I have finally gotten to it. I was stuck in that zone where like you really want to read a book, but you don't want it to be over. So I just didn't read it for basically 2 months. Whoops. After a year of adventure and hardships, Chianthe and Renner are finally having their wedding. There's a lot of things that need to get done in the week leading up to it, but like all well laid out plans, things go awry. I am not going to say much about this book. 10 out of 10. Absolutely highly recommend this series. I'm sure you've gathered that by now. I've gotten both Danielle and Ashley to read it. They've both enjoyed it, which is amazing. I enjoy the characters, I enjoy the world, I enjoy the plot, the twists, the turns, the little subtle nods to things that you might not pick up right away, but looking back, you can basically see everything coming to a head. And because of that, that's why I wasn't able to pick this up right away. It just held so much for me that I found it so hard to finish it, especially not knowing, or especially knowing that the 4th book was not out yet. It ended up coming out about 2 days after I finished this book, like around those times, or that's when I found out that it was out. I actually thought it was coming out later in the year, so thankfully it came out in August. However, my family has a rule where we're not allowed to buy anything for ourselves during our birth month. So I was actually fishing with my dad when I saw the announcement on Instagram. Bad of me, I know, going on social media when I was in a boat and fishing with my father, but I needed a little break. I was frustrated with myself because I had just lost a lure and like didn't catch the big fish that was on my line. So I needed to like breathe and process. And I came up with the information that the 4th book is out now. So I don't see my family until after this is posted, and I am so hoping that my dad took the excitement that I had in the boat and went home and got the book for me, because I'm going to read it so soon. And I know I keep saying that, and I hope I don't fall into the same thing that I always fall into, where I'm so excited in a series and I don't pick up the last book because I don't want it to end. But like, there are a lot of books that have come out either in the last year or will be coming out at the second half of this year that are like the finales of series that I've been reading, and I haven't read any of them because I don't want series to end. Very bad of me. But I am very excited to continue on with the series. In case you haven't figured it out, I gave See You at the Altar 5 stars. For the record, I just got really excited and forgot to hold up the physical books that I have. So I read Scythe and Sparrow as a physical book. Really enjoyed this one. Like I said, I give this 4.5 stars. I also have the physical version of The Stand-In by Lily Chu. 4.5 stars, an absolutely phenomenal read. Highly recommend it if this is the kind of lighthearted romance, famous person story that you're looking for. Really good read, in my opinion, and my aunt agrees. I also forgot to hold up the physical version of See You at the Altar. Absolutely amazing book, 4 stars. Just kidding. Perfect 10 out of 10. I love this series so much. Plus, they all have a beautiful pictures. Who doesn't love pretty end papers and sprayed edges? I love. The next book that I read was another audiobook, and that was Her Majesty's Necromancer by C.J. Archer. I read this August 2nd to 9th. This is the second book in the Ministry of Curiosity series. After the events in book 1, Charlie feels left out when Lincoln and the Ministry are tasked with finding out why bodies keep going missing from the cemetery. Deciding to investigate on her own, Charlie learns things that have the power to bring her closer to Lincoln, or to tear apart their trust forever. I absolutely enjoy the series. I had previously read the first 3 books, so this is once again a reread for me. But because it's been so long, it almost feels like the first time reading it. As much as I kind of remember the overarching plot points, I don't actually remember what happens very much. Because of that, it's almost like reading this book for the first time again. Charlie makes a couple of bad decisions, but she does it with good intentions. The real question is whether her good intentions will be good enough. I ended up reading this, like I said, August 2nd to 9th, and gave it 5 stars. The next book that I finished this month was Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I read this July 27th and finished it August 10th. Probably everyone knows the premise of this story by now. Alice is a young girl who finds a mysterious white rabbit in her garden. When she follows the white rabbit down a rabbit hole, things take a turn for the strange. Full of strange characters like the Mad Hatter and the Cheshire Cat, this story has been the basis of many a retelling in the over 150 years since it was first published. Danielle and I got this version of the book during our recent book outlet splurge, and we agreed, all 3 of us, Danielle, Ashley, and I, to pick them up at the Cottage when we were there in July. I believe I'm the only one that's read it at this point. We took a very aesthetic photo together on the beach with these books, and I actually gave this a reread. It's been years since I read the original story, though I have read or watched many a retelling in my day. My biggest takeaway from this reread is that this story is even weirder than I remembered. It didn't follow the exact storyline the way I thought it would. Like, it still hit all of the beats, but I thought they followed a different path or like had different impacts than they did. And that to me is the beauty of a good reread. You remember or reintroduce yourself to things that you forgot about and enjoy a book that you know you enjoyed previously. I ended up giving this 4 stars. The next book that I finished this month was The Daughter of the Siren Queen by Tricia Levenseller. This book is the sequel to Daughter of the Pirate King, and Alasa is out for revenge. Her mission is complete, but it didn't end the way she expected it to. When her future plans take an unlikely twist due to unforeseen circumstances, Alasa must learn to adapt and not be distracted by what she thinks she knows. Oh, and the still devastatingly attractive Raiden, who seems to get under her skin for reasons Alasa can't or won't understand. Once again, Danielle hit the nail on the head with this one. She was absolutely right. I enjoyed the series. I am so glad she got me to buy these gorgeous copies of the series. I've got Daughter of the Pirate King, Daughter of the Siren Queen, and Revenge of the Pirate Queen. All 3 of them are absolutely gorgeous. I am so happy that Danielle got me to buy these. And yeah, she was absolutely right. I absolutely did need these books in my collection and in my life. I ended up giving this 4.75 stars. The final book that I finished at the cottage was The Bone Hacker by Kathy Reichs. I read this as a library audiobook. Nope. I read this as a library ebook August 6th to 13th. This is book 22 of the Temperance Brennan series and follows Tempe as she's called to the recovery site of remains presumed to have been struck by lightning. One thing leads to another, and Tempe finds herself on the islands of Turks and Caicos. Young male tourists have been disappearing on the islands, and each of them is missing their left hand. Tempe's investigation starts to unravel criminal activities that contain more global significance than she was prepared for. And the clock is ticking for her to help the local constabularies to solve the case. This has so far been one of my favorite books in the series. While the dates might not suggest it, as I read it August 6th to 13th, I absolutely threw this book when I was able to pick it up. I read it while at the cottage with my aunt, uncle, and father, so there were a lot of things to do. Of course, I still found time to read, hence finishing 10 books at the cottage. But I'm sure I could have gotten more done in the almost 2 weeks I was there if I hadn't done any of the other fun stuff that I managed to do. Like always, I enjoyed the cast, I enjoyed the dry humor, I enjoyed the witty banter, I enjoyed the dark twists and turns, the anthropology that's brought to the forefront in this story. It just hit every beat that I love a Temperance Brennan book to hit. And now we're at the part of this review that I'm going to call the everything else section. This is all of the books that I finished in the month of August outside of the 2 weeks that I was at the cottage. Please note that I got into at least one reading slump and was incredibly busy this month, so it's not going to be as chaotic as last month's reading when I read over 20 books. I definitely did not hit that this month. So the next book that I finished in the month of August was Beyond the Grave by C.J. Archer. This is the 3rd book in the Ministry of Curiosities series. In it, Charlie and Lincoln search for Lady Harcourt's missing stepson. There's not much I can say about this without spoiling events from the first 2 books, so let me just say that I enjoyed this one immensely. I enjoyed watching Charlie and Lincoln get closer, even if it was against their own wishes. The heart wants what the heart wants. Of course, it's filled with the same chaos and wildness as the first 2 books, which is a large part of why I love it so much. C.J. Archer's writing just gets to me every time. She is definitely quickly becoming one of my favorite authors of all time. If you can't gather by now, I've read like 20 plus books of hers in the last couple of months, and I don't plan on slowing down anytime soon. I ended up giving Beyond the Grave 4.75 stars. Following that, I read Grave Expectations, also by C.J. Archer, also in the Ministry of Curiosity series. This is book 4. I love this series. This was my first time reading this book. I picked it up just before reading it this time. I didn't own it before this. While still containing the same writing, world, and characters that I fall in love with, this book made me want to scream at it so many times. I don't know how to express how much secondhand embarrassment and frustration this book gave me. If I could have reached into the book, grabbed Lincoln's shoulders, and shook some sense into him, I would have. The ending of this book got to me. I saw some of it coming, like I kind of knew where the plot was going, but the fact that it hit the notes that I thought it was going to, I don't know why I haven't continued on with the series yet. I mean, yes, I am frustrated with the characters, but like, it ended on a cliffhanger that has the potential of changing like everything in the series. I believe there are 10 books in the series that are out. I could be wrong. I think it's 10, but the beats that got hit in this series so far, wild. I absolutely love C.J. Archer's writing. Because of that ending and how frustrated it made me, I could not give this book a full 5 stars, so I only gave it 4.5. Still really good, but that ending. I am a frustrated person right now. The next book that I finished this month was Spy X Family Volume 14 by Tatsuya Endo. This is Ashley's book. As soon as it came out, she read it and then she lent it to me so I could read it, and I'm so glad she did. She was right. I love the series. I wish it wasn't done, like it's not finished, but like I can't continue on because they haven't been released yet, and I need them to be released, at least in English, because unfortunately I only speak and read English. A tiny bit of French, but like English. So I can't continue on with the series, and I need to continue on with the series. Each volume ends on a cliffhanger, and this one is no exception. It was really good, like really good. It follows the Forger family as the spy Twilight, the assassin, and the psychic all live together and hide their secret identities, both from the world at large and from the family within. They are pretending to be normal people in order to do their missions, succeed in life, and just pretend to be normal. It is so good. I love this series. The cliffhangers get to me because as much as I love a good cliffhanger, I just want to keep reading, and I didn't want this book to be done when it ended. Of course, it did finish off with a short story that gave you a little more insight into some of the secondary characters, which is always nice because it helps flesh out the world and like bring more life to it. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, but I wish there was more. I wish volumes 14 to 200 were out so I could just sit here and devour them. And unfortunately, I have to give this back to Ashley, but amazing call. My friend knows what I like. Oh, in case it wasn't obvious, I gave it 5 stars. The next book that I finished in the month of August was Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. If you remember, I said that I've been told this is similar in vibes to Cruel Prince by Holly Black. It kind of is, but isn't really. This book follows Callum Griffin and Aida Gallos. They are warring mafia families in, I believe it's Chicago. Yes, Chicago. and the families have been warring for generations. Callum and Aida are forced together into a marriage by their fathers, who hope that this union will stop the feud and the bloodshed between the two families before they destroy each other for good. This is a forced proximity, enemies to lovers romance that's around mafia families. It hits the beats of all three of those tropes that I enjoy. So I did enjoy this read. It was a quick and easy read, which was great because I was kind of in the middle of a reading slump, or the start of a reading slump, when I got to this. So I did enjoy it. I can't say I remember too much of the specifics that happened in this book, but I did enjoy my time in the world. I ended up giving it 4 stars based on its enjoyability, but I could not give it higher than that because it's really not the most memorable book in my mind. I mean, I can still remember some things, like some beats of this plot, and the way the characters interacted with each other and everything, but basically I finished this book and the character is kind of out of my mind. I did enjoy it. I might continue on with the series at some point. I don't have the physical copies of the rest of the series anywhere, so if I do get to it, it'll probably either be through library books or in the distant future. The next book that I finished this month was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I read this August 19th to 23rd. I'm going to say absolutely nothing about this book's plot, as I went into it blind, and highly recommend experiencing it that way. What I will say is that I was incredibly confused at the start of this book, but once I started to understand what was happening and the story explained the time jumps a little bit more, and I knew what each timeline was trying to tell me, I really did enjoy the story. I could not get enough of this story. I held off on reading this book for years because I didn't think I'd enjoy it. It's not the type of story that I typically gravitate towards, but I'm so glad I finally gave it a shot. It was so good. I loved it. It's got unreliable narrators, things that are hinted at but never fully explained, and so much more. Alex Stern is the kind of awful main character I love to be in the head of. I'm going to try to hold off on picking up the next book in the series because while I have Hellbent, and in fact I picked up Hellbent as a book seeing the pretty cover, and at the time it was a reversible cover and I really wanted to have it. I didn't realize that it was tied to Ninth House, so when I found out that it was, I was like, oh, I'm never gonna get to this. I don't think I'll enjoy Ninth House. So I have the second book, and I was so wrong about not enjoying this series. But I'm trying to hold off until October so I can give it the spooky love that it needs and deserves. So we'll see if I can keep my grubby little mitts off Hellbent for the next month or so. Place your bets down below whether you think I will or not. The final book that I finished in the month of August was our August book club book, and that is Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper. As you can tell, my copy has seen quite a bit of love and damage and abuse, which is not normal for Tricia books. I read this the first time shortly after it came out, and then because I'm awful, I lost this book apparently under the driver's seat of my car. So this book has seen some love and damage and has gone many a mile with me without me knowing it. So I am so sorry, book, for abusing you. But I really do love this book. As it was my birthday month, I got to pick the book. While generally we try to pick books that all three of us have not read, I've been trying to get Ashley to read this book for literal years, like since I read it for the first time. While she did not enjoy it as much as I thought she would, Danielle did enjoy this book as much as I hoped she would be. Because the other two already talked about this book, I'm not going to go super in depth into what this book is. I will say that it follows Emmy Harlow as she returns home to Thistle Grove to be arbiter in the town's magical election that takes place every 50 years. While 4 families founded the town, the Harlows have always acted as arbiter, while the other families, the Blackmores, Thornes, and Avramovs, compete to be the next magical mayor. Add in the fact that the Blackmores have won almost every gauntlet since the founding of the town, and the current Blackmore heir has screwed over the other 3 founding families. What do we get? We get the Harlows, the Thornes, and the Avramovs, or at least their heirs, teaming up together to ensure that the Blackmore heir does not win the gauntlet. This story gave me everything I could have asked for. It has a diverse cast, an intriguing premise, and an unconventional romance. It's got a plotline with twists and turns galore. Sure, those twists and turns may have been predictable, but it's the execution that got to me. One of the comparisons to this story I've read and absolutely adored is how this book gives off the same kind of vibes as Halloween Town. I grew up on those movies. I will still happily watch them every Halloween, without fail. Finding a read with the same kind of vibe was like drifting into a favorite world again, just slightly different. It's got the same magical safe haven vibes, the same wonder and mystery when it comes to the magic of the world. It's a hidden magical town, but instead of being in an alternate dimension, it's hidden in plain sight. I really like the way the town of Thistlegrove is introduced to the reader throughout the story. While we first get a sense of this town as one that's teeming with magic in the air if you know what to look for, there's so much more to it than that. Each of the founding families brings something different to the town, a different aspect of magic and intrigue into the world. If you're looking for a cozy romance in a witchy small town, you might want to try pick this read up. If you're not into revenge plots or magical tournaments, I've seen comparisons between this story and the Triwizard Tournament in Hogwarts, though I don't know if I agree with that. This story might not be for you. Overall, I really enjoy this book. I've been holding off on reading on in the series until I could get the girls to read this. And now that I have, you'd better believe I'm going to be reading books 2, 3, and 4 of this series within September. I, of course, gave this 5 stars. I am going to call the final section of this book, where I talk about 2 more books, as the hopefuls. This section contains the books that I have started and hope to finish either by the end of August, the last couple of days that we still have left in the month, or in the very start of September. The first book is The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England by Brynne and Sanderson. I started this book on August 26th, and I'm currently sitting at about a 4.5 to 5 star rating. I'm not done this yet, so we'll see if that changes. Danielle recommended this book to me, and I might be reading it for another video that's coming out in the near future, so keep your eye out for potentially that. So far I'm enjoying this book immensely. It follows a man who awakens in medieval England with absolutely no idea who he is or why he's there. He knows that he's from the future, but does not remember much else. His fragile hope for regaining his memories are the scraps of the guidebook that he's collected since awakening. I'm not going to say much about this. I am not even done it, but so far Danielle has done an absolutely wonderful job of all month long, picking out amazing books for me to read. The final book that I'm going to talk about this month is Virals by Kathy Reichs. This story follows Tori Brennan, the grandniece of world-famous forensic anthropologist Temperance Brennan. However, it does vary greatly from the Temperance Brennan books. For one, it does not follow a forensic anthropologist or any actual professional scientist. Tori is a teenager. Her and her friends live with their parents who are scientists, and all of their parents, or at least one of each of their parents, works at the Loggerhead Island Research Institute. In this book, Tori and her friends rescue a stray wolf dog pup from a top secret lab on the island, where the place where all of their parents work. This rescue exposes Tori and her friends to a strain of canine parvovirus that starts changing them and their DNA forever. I started this book August 14th. I'm currently sitting at a 4.75 star. This is technically a reread, as I read it when the book first came out. It, however, has been years, and I've read probably a couple thousand books since then, so I don't remember much of anything since reading that. yeah, basically everything has shocked me up to this point. I'm about 75% of the way through, so I definitely see myself finishing this in the near future, but I am enjoying it immensely. Well, thank you for spending this time with me. That is everything that I've either read in the month of August or plan on finishing before the month ends. As you can tell, this video is going out before the month actually ends, so there's a chance that I'll start or finish other books between now and then, but that's what happens. I mean, I haven't read as many books this month as I usually do. I definitely am sitting in a little bit of a reading slump right now, where most of the reading I'm doing is audiobook on my way to and from the office. So here's hoping that September brings me back into the amazing love of books that I have, and I get to get even more read. Thank you for spending time with me. I would love to hear what books you read in the month of August, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!